Yes.
Okay. I will call the April 30, 2020 meeting of the Bastrop Planning and Zoning Commission to order. As with a lot of meetings these days, we're meeting in the security and the comfort of our homes. However, this meeting is available both on Facebook and does meet all of the requirements of the Open Meeting Act. And since we're meeting at home, there's no need for us to wear masks, so that's why we're not wearing masks. So without any further ado, we'll go ahead. Do I say something? Okay. Viviana, would you call the roll, please, ma'am?
Absolutely, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Debbie Moore.
Here.
Lynn Johnson.
Here.
Cynthia Meyer.
Here.
Matt Lassen.
Here.
Sarah Lee.
Present.
Greg Sherry.
Not present.
Ishmael Harris.
Here.
Pablo Cerna.
Here.
Ed Scarnillis.
He
Ed
is
had let
absent.
us know earlier that he would not be able to attend. So we do have a quorum.
Excellent.
Thank you, ma'am. The next order of business is citizen comments. So I want you to please note that anyone wishing to address the council must, or the commission must provide the full name, address, phone number to the plan at City of Bastrop before the meeting begins. Madam Secretary, do we have any public comments?
Not at this time, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. We'll move on down the agenda. Item 3, items for individual considerations. Item 3A, consider action to approve meeting minutes from the March 25, 2020 meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Has everyone had an opportunity to read them? Are there any corrections or deletions or additions?
I think Pablo Cerna's name is misspelled.
Is that the case, Mr. Cerna?
I didn't actually get to look at the minutes before I got on, so it should be S-E-R-N-A.
Yeah, it is misspelled, and we'll make sure we fix that.
Okay.
Any other corrections? Without hearing any, I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes with that minor addition, correction. Make a motion.
I move.
Motion to accept.
Who is that?
Second.
Okay. Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Consider action to, item 3B, consider action to approve with conditions the Bastrop Grove Section 4 preliminary plat. Ms. Bills.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Sure.
Yeah, this is Greg Sherry. For some reason, I'm not getting the video feed, so I called in on the phone number. So I just wanted to let you know that I was here.
Oh, okay. Great, Greg. So you can hear everybody okay?
Yeah, I can hear fine, but when I go here, it just keeps telling me that we're waiting for the organizer to arrive, and I don't have any video or anything. So.
Well, the main thing is you can hear us. So if you have anything, don't hesitate to chime in, okay?
Can I say something real quick?
Sure.
I had the same issue. All you have to do is type in the ID that was on the email. If you have GoToMeeting up, go ahead and type in that number. Jennifer, you want to read out that number? He can type that in, and then
Well, if I read out the number, then everyone can log in. That's why we can't do that.
Okay. Moving along.
Okay. Anything else?
Type in the access code.
Yeah, if you type in that access code, type that into the meeting IDs part, and that'll take you to the meeting.
All right, let me try that.
But since you can hear, I'll kind of start on the item on what we're talking about tonight. So this is
Hey, I'm there.
a preliminary plat for, and if you guys, some of you may need to mute your, if you're not talking right now, mute your icon so then I don't hear background noise. So everyone at home doesn't hear background noise. So this is a preliminary plat for Bastrop Grove Section 4. This is the part of the overall kind of Grove development that is the residential portion. The planning and zoning last saw this, I believe in August, when they were coming through with a planned development district for this. It's mostly single family development with some townhomes and or attached single family product and family. So what this is the preliminary plat for the whole development, which consists of a little over 67 acres of land. They're proposing to do 319 single-family lots that will vary in size from 35 feet to 40 to 50 feet in width, so different size lots. They'll have 5 green space and park lots, and then also have 3 just open space lots that won't be programmed for any kind of, it'll just be open space. That's looking at my presentation. The future land use on this was actually a transitional residential. I don't know how I got professional services in there, but it's transitional residential is the type on this. So the mix of housing, kind of the denser housing development meets the future land use designation for this area. The character district for this area is the Meadows, since it is a fairly open, not very well treed, but it's wide open spaces. So that was the character district. That got assigned during the B3 code. And then the place type is the planned development district for the Grove residential. So they adopted their own set of subdivision and zoning standards back in November. So the location of this lot is south of the new Agnes Street and east of State Highway 304. With this development, they're going to have at least 3 primary road connections that come into this on the with the first 2 phases. They'll have a connection straight to Agnes Street, and then they'll have 2 onto 304, and those will be street connections that will go through the development. In the plat, you'll see there's also a couple stub outs when future development happens. There's one to the east where there's up against the channel that the future commercial development to the north will connect the street connection there. There's also a stub out to the south that right now it's kind of a cul-de-sac, but it'll provide for connections should the property to the south develop. And then also Hunters Point Drive, it starts at 304 and it'll connect through and go over the drainage channel to the east and can provide connection then across that channel on the southern part of the property to the east. So it does have fairly good connectivity currently and then in the future for the entire development. The preliminary plat matches their concept plan that was part of their plan development and meets all the requirements of the plan development document. There were a couple conditions when we were reviewing this, when we put this on the Planning and Zoning Commission agenda. One was to show the, accurately depict the dedicated right-of-way for Agnes Street on the north. They've since submitted a new plat that shows they've done that, and then also to swap 2 street names within the subdivision. And it's kind of an addressing issue that when you get a longer street name on a short street, it creates addressing problems when you're trying to label maps and whatnot. So those were the only 2 conditions staff had, and they've already demonstrated that they're able to meet those 2 conditions. The applicant is lurking in the background if you have any specific questions of the developer. If you don't have any questions or you have questions of me, who would like to speak? Glenn?
Yes, I would like to hear a little bit more about the access in and out of the subdivision. And are there any specific requirements as to creating the additional access, like number of lots developed or whatever. It just seems to me that it might be, it's not clear to me that the roads that are being connected to can handle a lot of traffic, but I'd just like to hear a little bit more about the connectivity.
So our new code requirements do not require any. In the past, we would have required, it's called a traffic impact analysis. And while they're not going to have to do one for us, they do have to do a traffic impact analysis for TxDOT. That any impacts that this development would have on TxDOT roads, they'll have to provide either funding or actual improvements potentially if they create an increased demand on those roads that causes a decrease in the service level of those roads. So the city doesn't have that requirement, but the TxDOT will for 304 and 71 since it accesses their road. From the city perspective, we looked at this and when they started this with our planned development district zoning, we didn't have very strong connectivity requirements. All our main requirement was that after you hit, I think over 30 or 50 homes, you had to have at least 2 ways in and out. Right now, they'll have 3 ways in and out, and then in the future, they'll have up to 6. So they were meeting under our old code. Under our new code, the goal is to provide that grid every 330 feet. This is not quite meeting that, which we knew that at the time that we approved their planned development district. They do have some challenges on the property because you do have the drainage channel to the east that they do have to get across, which they are going to. Agnes crosses it once, and then they'll have another connection with Hunters Point Drive. But you also have cutting down the middle of the property that you can see in the plat. That's the Lower Colorado River Authority high power transmission line. So that's a big electrical easement that they cannot build into, and that you don't want to have too many crossings on. And that also kind of creates some separation onto 304. So with 304, those 2 connections are the maximum amount of connections that TxDOT will let them have onto 304. And in fact, the connection up to the north of Cattail Lane, I believe is the name, that intersection will actually be a right in, right out, meaning you can only turn right going out of the subdivision. You can only turn right going out of it. So you can't make any left-hand turns across traffic, which have created conflicts on 304. Any other questions about that?
I think I'm just concerned about the back part of it, the access there. Like if there was an emergency, a fire, or whatever, mass fire, those people have to drive like all the way through to get to any of the access places out at the front, versus being able to drive, closer to the back to reach. I don't know what this road here is at the bottom. What is this road at the bottom?
Hunters Point.
Yeah. I mean, I think that would be my main concern, is that all these people here at the back are going to have to try to make their way in an emergency up to the front.
And fire has reviewed this for compliance with fire standards. So previous to the preliminary plat being brought to the Planning and Zoning Commission, this has been reviewed. We've had a preliminary drainage plan and a preliminary infrastructure plan, both that have been reviewed and approved by the city engineer. So staff has had a couple chances to look at this already and work out those details. Definitely the fire considerations. Fire's been looking at it, making sure they have access on the streets, get their fire trucks back there, and it's passed all of our fire code requirements.
I have one comment, or just a clarification. I see Red Shriner Road and Minnow Lane, and I guess 2 roadway stubs into the green space, future park. Is there a plan to connect those 2? Looks like Catfish Lane and can't see that. Looks like Blacktail Drive.
Yeah, no, those are stubbing into the open space.
There's a lot 53 And it has a road into it. But then I'm just wondering, curious as to Red Shiner Road. You know, it has a turn, a little roadway stub around lot 43. I was just curious as what the thinking was there.
I think providing access into that green space, I think that's the main concern. So, because that will be, you'll have a continuous green space with the LCRA easement that we're, at least with the trail, there's limited amount of stuff you can build in that easement, mostly just flat work and benches, that kind of thing. But there will be some green space then on either side of that LCRA easement that can serve as a park for the neighborhood.
Okay. Those are my questions.
Anyone else have any questions? Have we received any correspondence, emails, or requests for comment from any citizens?
Not at this time, Madam Chair. I just went ahead and refreshed our plan email, and as of 6:17 p.m., no one has emailed in yet to comment on it.
Okay. So if no one else has any questions and no one wishes to speak, we'll consider.
Yeah, a quick question.
Sure.
So kind of that same area, the LCRA easement, I know they have that smaller unit, I think the 35 unit kind of lining both sides of it, the boulevard kind of feel. And on the east side, it drops off where it looks like the houses back it. Is there, I guess, what's the intention of, is that, it feels like it's nice and taken care of where the 35 unit lots are, but then it's kind of, that easement's neglected to some extent, like typical developments. On the east side where those houses back in it, is there any plan to, I guess, just what's the idea there? Is it just going to be the back of the fences and then the electrical lines?
Yeah, and that location will be fences with the electrical lines, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Jennifer, is this contingent on getting Agnes finished before they start this, or is this, because Agnes isn't completed yet, so.
No, so the other side of Agnes, so you'll notice that there's a strip of land all the way around the subdivision on the east and, or on the west and north sides. And the developer reserved that area for future commercial development, which the developer should be submitting really soon a preliminary plat for that area to the north and west. So that other side of Agnes Street will come in with the commercial development.
Okay.
And that's one of our things that we're working out with developers is the timing of all their improvements to make sure they make those at the same time. So that no one's using up the other developer.
All right.
All good questions. Anything else?
And keep in mind the next step too, from this is the preliminary plat. So this is the document that allows them to move ahead with their more exacting plans. So the next step is the public improvement plans that they'll be turning in. My understanding is in 2 phases. They'll be doing the top half in 1 phase and the bottom half in a 2nd phase. So they'll be doing the public improvement plans for the 1st phase, which will lay out all of the actual streets, where the utility lines are going in more specificity. That'll have to be approved and all that constructed before the final plat comes back to you all.
So it's not just, I think I'm looking at it a little closer now. I guess lot 53 is a little odd. If you look at that, Jennifer, it's, I mean, it almost as if that was added in and they were thinking about, I don't know. But anyway, that was just a comment on that.
And this was part of their plan development document. So this does follow their concept plan that was approved with the zoning. So.
Okay. Okay. That's all I had.
Anybody else? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve by Mr. Cerna. Your second?
I second.
Who is that? Ishmael? Okay.
Ishmael.
Motion and a second. Will you call the roll, Viviana, please?
Yes, Madam Chair. Debbie Moore,
Yes.
Glenn Johnson,
Yes.
Greg Sherry,
Yes, we're approving this with the recommendations, right?
Yes.
Then yes.
Cynthia Meyer,
Yes.
Matt Lassen,
Yes.
Cheryl Lee,
Yes.
Ishmael Harris,
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
Pablo
Thank you.
Cerner.
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, Pablo.
Very good.
Thumbs up. All right, thank you very much. Moving on now to item 4, updates. 4A, update on recent city council actions regarding planning development, the planning department items.
We haven't had a whole lot moving forward. We've just had plats so far, and those stop at the Planning and Zoning Commission now. So we haven't had anything that's gone from P&Z to council. I don't think this year yet. We're still working on working with our Simple City, the consultant, on some revisions to the code. We're really getting into that, trying to make sure we find the places to kind of tweak the language. There's just some minor kind of flow and word choices that would help clarify things for developers and I think staff alike. So we're busy working through that. Also, what staff has been, we really haven't had any downtime. We haven't been closed during all of this, but we are also working on getting an online permitting and planning software set up. So staff has been working the last several weeks pretty hard at mapping out all of our processes. And we're hoping to get that out to the public and start using that in June, or by the end of June. So having a new online system so people can apply remotely. They don't have to come in and bring things into the office. You can pay online. You don't have to drop a check off to us, all those things. So we're coming into the 21st century.
A lot of people are being dragged in.
Didn't go through planning and zoning, but also we had the first reading at council this week on the mobile food program. That originally that had been talked about being put into the B code, and towards the end, it got decided to put that into the business licensing code instead, because that's kind of the more appropriate place in the code of ordinances for it. So that went to council on Tuesday night for mobile foods. That should hopefully get approved on May 12th.
And I received, I'm not sure if this is the appropriate place or not, but Councilman and Mayor Pro Tem Nelson emailed me and said that he couldn't log in, but he can hear us and he's attending, although we can't tell it for sure. But he's here in spirit.
It's here in spirit.
Anything else?
Hey, really
That's
quickly.
all.
Oh, just one question for Jennifer.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that you're working with Simple City Design on a few kind of issues that you've run into with the code, I assume, with people submitting stuff. Do you have any, for instances, you could share or create a list of just areas you're thinking about tweaking with him so we can kind of keep an eye out? And because I assume all changes would have to come through us to be reapproved.
Yes, definitely. Any changes that are gonna, we'll probably end up workshopping some of them and then bringing any code changes to planning and zoning. Some of the things we're looking at is just some better flow charts for one. We do have a flow chart at the very beginning. Looking at it, I think it needs a little bit more granular detail to work people through the process. It's just a little hard to understand. Things like that, clarifying what standards apply in the extraterritorial jurisdiction versus the city, those kind of things. But we're still kind of early. We kind of just started that process the last couple of weeks, getting together that list. So we'll be coming back probably the next couple of meetings with.
And how have people made it through the process so far with the new code? How's it seem to be working? I mean, obviously there's some issues because you're going back to redrawing a few things, but does it seem to be working? Is there excitement for it with people coming in, or what's kind of the general feel from the planning department?
I think people like it because I think it has, especially the new processes. It makes sense. Like you turn it in on Monday, in 2 weeks you're going to get your comments back. Kind of I think there's a lot better expectation of when you're going to get things, and the quality of applications, quite honestly, have gotten better as well. So there's not as much back and forth with applicants trying to tweak language. I think our checklist and everything have helped clarify what needs to be turned in, and some of that's just some of that we still need to work through just a little bit more detail to make sure that everyone knows that we're clearly communicating our expectations. So.
Well, good. So it's been pretty well received so far.
That's been my impression. So yes, we're definitely churning out applications and approvals. So you'll continue to see more plats coming through the process here soon.
Good.
How's your short turnaround date timeline working with you since the legislature put you on a timeline?
I think it's been working pretty well. Like I said, we have broken down some of the applications into it's more steps. It doesn't take any more time than it ever did for us, but it clarifies, that you need to get your drainage done first, which is, was a big push with the moratorium, is to make sure drainage is the first thing you consider. Don't consider that at the end of your project. So we're doing that first. So it clarifies then the next step for your infrastructure, and then lays out your lots. So
Good.
I think that it's helped. I think it's forced the city's hand a little bit, and I will say staff is spending more time. It's taken more of our time to do that. So a few less special projects until we get all that figured out. So
Good.
Just a follow up on Matt's question. How has any preliminary design reviews gone?
Every Thursday we have meetings open for people to come, and so we've been meeting with people, going over any of their potential plans, and we're still kind of in the early phases, I think, for a lot of things. A lot of what you're seeing now has been in the works, obviously, for a while. So for brand new projects that are going to come in and meet our code, we're still working through, with people to help them realize, the best outcome on their property. So, but we're available. Yeah, we have pre-development meetings every Thursday, even with the shutdown offices. We've been doing those remotely, like we're doing this, and still able to meet with people. So
Good. Anything else? All right, we'll move on to item 4B, individual requests from Planning and Zoning commissioners that particular items to be listed on future agendas. Anything anybody wants to talk about next month? Going once, going twice?
I'm fine on my end.
Okay, you can always let Jennifer know if you have something you want to talk about. It's not a problem. All righty, then we'll move on to item 5.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Cynthia, move to adjourn.
Yes.
Second.
I'll second.
Multiple seconds. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Good job,
Thank y'all.
everybody. Thank
Have a
you.
good night, everyone.
Be safe.
Bye, everybody. Hope we can see you in person next month.
yeah.
Well, we commented that we can actually see each other face to face.
Yeah.
And sitting on a dais and just seeing the side of everybody's face.
This is true. All right, y'all. Have a good one. Stay
You too.
well.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.